Hi, and welcome again to another reading. Today we're going to be doing Joe's Journey again, and Joe's Journey in the midst of an inner circle. We're going to do chapter 4, and that is where, if you remember, Molly was a young lady that was following him around when he was a kid, and Molly kind of broke her heart. And so this is where Joe's and Molly's paths cross again. So Molly, a retired school teacher, has now been retired for 5 years. In that time, she has done a lot of traveling, mostly Europe. She enjoyed it profoundly, but was very tired and she needed to rest a while and wanted to save a little bit of money before she traveled somewhere else. Money was getting a bit low, although she enjoyed traveling. It was expensive. She was thinking of returning to teaching part-time for a while to save a bit of money, as she did spend it all for full lot on her caravanette. It was good to be home after traveling for so long. The place looked empty and cold. She put the heating on to warm the place up as much as she could, then cooked a delicious meal for herself and had a drink of wine, then went to bed early that night. When she woke in the morning, she had cleaned the house. It hadn't been cleaned since she left, so she was terribly busy. It was winter, so there was only indoors, and she got the polish out and worked from top to bottom. It was smelling so fresh, it felt so good to be home again. Then she got herself ready to go shopping, as she did not have much in the house, only what she picked up quickly when she got home. She didn't have a car now, only the caravan, so she had to get a bus into London town center. She always spent the day there shopping, then got a cab home. She went in for coffee and had a bite to eat. She got a lot of shopping, only food, as she needed everything. She looked at her watch and thought she would buy a newspaper, then go home. As she looked around, she seen the lottery tickets for Saturday. She thought, why not? May win. She picked her numbers at random. The shop assistant said, good luck, and Molly said, thank you, I don't need it, and laughed. She rang up her best friend, Carol. She heard that she had just come back from Africa. She had been working out there for some years. They arranged to meet at the end of the week for a meal and to catch up on all the gossip. Molly had a lot of work to do in the house, so she had plenty of time to catch up on her housework. Friday night soon came around. Molly got herself ready to meet her friend. Her friend rang to see how she was getting to the restaurant, so Molly said she would get a cab. Her friend insisted on picking her up. They had a lovely evening. They talked, and there was much to tell each other. The time just flew by. When Molly got home, she was so tired she fell asleep on the sofa. It was 4 o'clock when she woke and went to bed. It's Monday morning. Molly wakes up with a bad headache. She gets out the wrong side of the bed, puts her jumper on back to front, and then turns out back the right way again. You say that it is bad luck to do that. She's also got dropsy, dropping everything. Then she goes to make herself a cup of coffee, and there is none left by this time. By this time, she's talking to herself, cursing everything in sight. I wonder what a day she is having, she's saying to herself. It's only just started. She gets ready to go out, but can't find any shoes that match. All she can find is one flat and one with heels. She likes flat shoes for walking in. She has to put her old slippery ones on. Every time she walks, they slip off. And now she's really furious, so she goes out the door, slamming it behind her, and then realizes she has left her key inside the house. I don't believe it, she's thinking out loud to herself. So she's fiddling around looking for her key. Luckily, she always keeps a spare one in her bag. She sees a bus coming, so she runs for it and misses the bus. Eventually, she gets a bus. She's enjoying her bus ride, as it has been a lousy morning. The bus stops outside the newspaper shop, so she gets off there fiddling around with her bag looking for her lottery ticket. She thinks maybe I've won. Something has to go right this morning. As she gets her ticket out, Joe is walking up toward her as he sees a paper in the bin and goes to pick it out of the bin. Although Joe is in a better position now, old habits die hard and he slips up now and then. Suddenly the ticket flies out of Molly's hand and hits Joe straight in the face. Molly's looking everywhere for her ticket. Joe takes it off his face and says, I've got a lottery ticket. Let's see if it's a winner. Patch, we might be in the money. It's a new thing, and Joe was excited about it. He was rather like a child with a new toy. Molly sees Joe with a lottery ticket and shouts, "That's my ticket!" But it's too late. Joe already took the ticket in and gave it to the assistants. She goes barging into Joe, shouting at him, "That's my ticket," then turns to the assistant saying, "He's got my ticket." Joe says, "How do I know it's your ticket?" "You could just be saying that." "Because it flew out of my hand," she shouts back at Joe. Then the assistant didn't know what to do. So she said, "Well, it may not be any good anyway. We shall see." She had a very unhappy customer to serve, so she asked Joe and Molly politely, "Will you two stop arguing for a minute? I need to serve this customer first, then we will see." They were still arguing. Patch started barking, and it was like a madhouse in the shop. Everyone went out saying it was a madhouse in that shop. Everything went quiet. The assistant said, "Well, now, let's see if someone has won." She looked and just stared. Well, according to this, one of you has won 100,000 pounds. "But which one?" So Molly says, "Well, it's my ticket." The assistant said, "Well, have you any proof of that yet?" Molly says, "Well, I had it in my hand. It blew away." And Joe says, "It flew in my face. How do I know you're just saying it was yours? Could have been someone else's." "Because I was just getting it out to bring it in the shop to see if I won," said Molly. Things were getting heated, and the assistant said, "Hang on. I'll have to get the manager about all this." So off she went to the manager. People were lining up to get served. Joe and Molly were still arguing. It was like Piccadilly Circus. Patch started barking again, and then the manager comes out. "Now what on earth is going on here?" "Chelsea, serve all these people here, will you?" "Yes, Mr. Pickles." "Why is this dog in my shop?" says Pickles. "Dogs are not allowed in the shop." Joe said, "He's my dog." Pickles told Joe that the dog had to go outside. Joe told Patch to wait outside. Patch did as he was told. Things calmed down now after that. "Now, what's the problem here?" Joe and Molly started to speak at the same time, both together. "I would say ladies first. Would you, sir?" Joe looked up in the air as if to say, "This isn't a lady." So the manager and Mr. Pickles listened to Molly's side of the story first. Then he listened to Joe's side and was totally confused. "Well, what we need to do here is, well, there's nothing on the ticket to see who it belongs to. By the way, who bought the ticket to in the shop?" Joe said, "I did." Then Molly told the manager what happened. Then it started kicking off again. "Stop," said Mr. Pickles, "or I will call the police to sort this out." All this was going on well up to closing time. So Chelsea said, "Look, why don't you share the winnings?" Molly said, "No, it's my ticket. I don't believe I could have such a bad day." Joe said, "I don't believe I could be so lucky." "Ouch, that hurt." That hurt, Molly. You should have seen Molly's face. It was like thunder. "This will have to be taken up with the lottery personnel, I'm afraid, and seeing Joe brought it in, then I must deal with Joe as if it's his now. What is your second name?" Joe looked at Molly, then at Mr. Pickles. "Well," Pickles asked Joe again, "your second name, sir?" Joe says, "I don't know my second name." Molly starts to laugh. "You're joking, aren't you?" Joe says, "No, I'm not joking." Mr. Pickles is once again confused. "I'm going home in a minute, or slowly going out of my mind." "So why don't you know your second name, sir?" "No, you see," explains Joe, "that's a long story. And I haven't got time for a long story, sir," answered Mr. Pickles. "Look, just give the damn ticket to Miss Molly there, will you?" "I can't do that," said Mr. Pickles. "Yes, you can," said Joe. "I've already put down you're the owner of the ticket," said Pickles. "But I can put both down if you like." Then Molly said, "Seeing it's my ticket anyway, I don't think that's a bad idea." So Joe said, "Okay, then step into my office," Pickles suggests. "We'll sort all this out on the phone to the lottery personnel." Poor old Patch was still outside. Joe asked if he could bring him in now. Pickles said yes, as we were closing anyway soon. "He can come in now." Everything was sorted out on the phone, though Molly was not very happy still. After all that episode was over, Pickles asked Joe for his address, and Molly's. Then Joe said, "Take her address," "But I can't do that," answered Pickles. So Molly's Says Joe, don't you have a home? No, I bloody don't have a home. Molly's off again. My goodness me, you're homeless, aren't you? No, I am not homeless. I've been traveling. Joe seemed to fall apart. He forgot where he was living. But you must have a home somewhere, said Molly. Can't remember the address. I'm so forgetful. I've been traveling for so long. Then Molly got a bit worried about him. She said to Pickles, we must get someone. He's in shock. Joe starts to shout, look, I don't need anyone. Well, Pickles is nearly falling out of his chair by now. It's worsening. I don't know what to do. So he says to Joe, look, Joe, let me phone someone just to sort this out. Okay, then I have a card, these people said, to phone them if I needed them. Excuse me, I got a cup of drink here. Now we are getting somewhere. At last you'll phone these people to get you, and then I can go home. Would you both like a cup of tea? Because I know I would. Both say yes, please, at the same time. Molly looks at Joe strangely. She can't make him out. Pickle gives Patch a drink of water. Joe says Patch likes tea as well, so he had to give Patch some tea as well. Pickle laughs, and Molly starts laughing too. Joe looks at Patch, and Patch barks to thank him. Well, at least he could all laugh in the end. Pickles phones the head of the center that Joe stayed in, and he mentioned Joe. They knew straight away who he was talking about. Yeah, how is Joe? Well, Pickles, that is what I want to talk to you about. I've got him here in my shop. There's a bit of confusion with the lady and Joe over a lottery ticket. Joe needs a place to stay for a while. Okay, if you can give me a minute, I'll see who I can find. The head of the center come up to phone, and she was so surprised. You've got Joe with you, and she described him, and Pickle said to him, I'm the head here, and my name is Mrs. Murray. Bethany will be pleased you have found him since he left here. We have been looking into his case, and we have found out that Joe is under Bethany's case. Can you give me your address so we can pick up Joe? Is Bethany coming out? Yes, said Pickles. They are coming here for you. When they arrive, they say to Joe, where have you been, Joe? Molly says, he has my lottery ticket. Pickles is saying, I'll explain in the other room. Anyway, after all, they take Joe to the center. Molly says, what about my lottery ticket? Pickles is explaining that someone from the lottery would contact her. And what about Joe? Will he be all right? Yes, he's fine, says Pickles. He's in safe hands. Joe stayed at the center, and he had Bethany come over to see him. She said, hi, Joe, where have you been hiding? Couldn't find you. I went to your home, and there was no one to answer there. Well, I got bored staying in that flat, so Patch and I went for a walk. It's quite a long walk, Joe, answered Bethany. A month. Did you miss me? Asked Joe. That was very naughty, Joe. I am sorry, answered Joe. Now, can you remember anything at all? Yes, I had a lottery ticket blown in my face. No, Joe, I mean about the past. I've not seen you for a month, but I've been doing my investigations, and I have found out you lived in Wells in a little village, and you also had a shop there that you owned. Your second name is Joe Crystal. You had a wife, but she died. I'm sorry, Joe. Is everything coming back to you now? I'll get you a cup. And then she came back, and Joe had tears running down his face. Bethany gave him a hug and said she was sorry that she didn't like to tell him like this, but it had to be said. I know, Joe said. I just didn't want to face up to it. You know that in time it will get easier as time goes on. It takes time, but it's been over 10 years now, Joe. It was not your fault. You've been blaming yourself all these years. Stop punishing yourself now. It was an upsetting time for Joe. He felt manipulated, confused time for him, and it was a very momentous time for him, too. He blamed himself for everything that had happened to his wife and his unborn child, both now dead. All he could see was that bus and his wife lying on the road in front of the bus. That is when he left everything and blanked it out of his mind. Before then, his life was in the highest formation it could be, but instead the consumption of the future was bleak. There was nothing left for him because of the trauma. He became unmotivated. and his life was unbearable. Joe, why don't you stay here for a week? Then I will take you to your flat. So he agreed. Bethany said that she would ring Pickles up to explain what had happened. After a week, Joe seemed to brighten up. He went out for walks with Patch and returned to the center, and he mingled in with the others, so things started to look up. Beth came to pick up Joe and take him home. He seemed to have settled in quite well now, but he was concerned about staying in on his own. Beth said, I'll leave my number in case you want to talk about anything at all. And you've got Patch, so please, Joe, go out every day for a walk and always come home, won't you? If you feel you can't any time, then ring me. Promise. Yes, I will. Thank you, Beth. So he did, and he did what she told him to do, and he seemed to settle down and got talking to some of the others who lived there too. He got friendly with another man who had a dog named Butch. Butch and Patch got on well together. They loved playing together, so they went out for walks, and then quite a lot. They took the dogs over to the park. The dogs loved playing and running for the ball, and when they returned home, Joe would make coffee for him and his friend too. It was something to look forward to. Molly went home not very happy. It was a very sad day for her, and she would have kicked herself for letting the lottery ticket blow away. She phoned her friend and told her what had happened. Carol said, no, really, you mean you have to give him half the money? Yes, and I'm lucky to get that because I couldn't prove it was my ticket. Oh, you poor thing. Let's meet up on Saturday. That would be great, said Molly. I could do with a night out. See you then. And she poured herself a stiff drink. Saturday, Kate was so stressed with everything she had done a bit of reading, and the weather was not very good, so she couldn't go out. It was just as well, she thought. As things were at the moment, she was also waiting for a phone call from the lottery people. She also thought about Joe. She wanted to see if he was okay. She was softening in her first outlook of him. In fact, she was a bit worried about him, so she rang Mr. Pickles to see if he knew anything about him and how he was getting on. Pickles said he seemed to be settling down a bit in his flat and asked if she would like his phone number, but he would have to ask Joe first. I said yes, I'd like to ring him to apologize for the way I spoke to him. Although Molly could have done with all the winnings as she bought the caravanette and spent most of her savings, she thought of Joe and the state he was in and realized she was in fact being very greedy and didn't like herself at all. But as she was thinking about his name, Joe, and it sprung up her past when she was a little girl, and realizing the name was very familiar to her, then she shouted, no, it can't be. But then she thought it might be, then thought, nah, he was quite well off. So then thought nothing of it again. Saturday came around and it was time for Molly to get ready to meet her friend for dinner. So she got up feeling excited, and she had been out for a while. She spent the entire day getting ready. We were going for a Chinese meal for a change. She was going to meet her friend at 7 o'clock that evening. She got a taxi there, and it was a lovely place, very Chinese. They had a 3-course meal. It took an exceedingly long time to eat. We were talking and eating, and she got very bloated, but after the end of the evening, it must have been 1 o'clock by the time she got home. Monday morning, Molly received a phone call from Mr. Pickles. He told her that Joe would speak to her. She was incredibly pleased about that. Molly rang Joe the next morning. When he answered the phone, Molly paused for a bit. Joe was about to put the phone down when Molly spoke. Hi, it's Molly here. How are you, Joe? He answered, well, not too bad. How are you then, Molly? Have you phoned for your lottery ticket? Molly laughed. Well, I do not suppose you have you? And they both laughed. I knew it. That's all you phoned me for, isn't it? No, I'm just joking. So what do I have the pleasure of your phone call then? Molly then apologized for the way she was towards him and asked if she could take him for a meal to make up for how she treated him. Wow, he said. I didn't expect that. Okay, it's a date then, Molly quickly said. No, it's not a date. Calm down, Joe. Joe said, I'm only joking. So where are we going? I'll pick you up from that address of yours and you can choose where you want to go. Okay, I better give you my address then. Molly said, what about next Saturday? That'll be fine, Joe answered. Then Molly took his address and said, I'll see you next Saturday then. Saturday came around and Molly was a bit uneasy. But she got ready to go, knowing Joe could not afford a taxi. She got to his flat, then knocked on the door. Joe came to the door and so did Patch. Molly said, "Joe, you know you can't take Patch to the restaurant." And he laughed. "No, Patch is fine here." So they get in the car and he says, "What restaurant are we going to then?" "What sort of food do you like? I've never tried Chinese food and I hear it's exceptionally good." "Chinese it is then. I know a lovely little place. My friend and I went here last week. They had a genuinely nice evening. Joe enjoyed himself immensely. Molly wanted to talk about his past, but knowing that Joe was not very well, she did not push things. Joe invited Molly in for a cup of tea, but Molly refused, saying it was getting late. "But I'll pop in and see how you're getting on in a few weeks, Joe." He said that would be an innovative idea. I'm going to have to cut this short here. We're on page, there's still quite a bit. We'll do the other half next time. If you can hear, I have a cat, and my cat is telling me that it is time for me to feed him his afternoon lunch, as well as give him his treats. Are you down? Are you in here? Where'd you go? Monkey, come here. Come here. Anyways, all right, so I will see you next time. We'll finish up Joe's journey, and then we'll see where we'll go from that. I'm going to talk and see if I can do another reading from the Ledge of Creation, see if we can get another chapter under our belt. Hopefully Steve agrees. If not, I'll tell you what, if you know of any authors or anybody that wants to have some of their books read on here, I'd be more than happy to do it. Always looking for new stuff. I do have a couple of books that I might talk to the authors about, see if they'll let me do it. So we may have some more stories, some new books to read. And I appreciate you being here and visiting with me. So until next time, thank you again. I look forward to seeing you. Yeah. My cat's still way over there, so I'll go take care of him now. Have a good day. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye. All right, hi, we're back. Sorry about that. My cat has been taken care of and is a lot happier now. He's outside, gallivanting around, catting around. So we're going to continue on. Joe invited Molly in for a cup of tea, but Molly refused, saying, said it was getting late, but I'll pop in and see how you're getting on in a few weeks, Joe. He said that would be an innovative idea. Joe was very tired. He had a bad heart now because of what he had been through, and his health was deteriorating. I'll come over and see you and Patch one afternoon. Okay, I'll hold you to that, Molly. When she went home, she thought about the lottery, but she did not like to bring it up while they were having their meal. She thought it might start an argument in the restaurant, and that would be very embarrassing, so she thought she would ask when she went round there. A week passed by, and she got a call from Joe saying he had heard from the lottery people and asked if she had. But she hadn't. She was a bit disappointed that she had not heard. She thought, seeing it was her ticket, she sounded disappointed as well. Then Joe said, I expect you will soon hear, Molly. And she laughed and said, I hope so. It will come in handy as I spent all my money on my caravanette. Oh, I see, Joe said. I'll let you know if I hear any more. How did you get my number? My phone pickled. Is that all right? Said Molly. Yes, I just wondered how you got it. There's no problem if you need any help. And just ring me, Joe. Joe rang Molly again. Hi, said Molly. Hi, it's Joe. You're very excited. Guess what? The lottery person is coming out on Monday to see me, and they will help me open an account. I asked how much we have won, but they won't tell me until they see me personally. But I think it's a lot more than we expected. I see, said Molly. That's great, but I don't understand why they just come out to see you. Don't worry, you will get yours as well. It's not that. I know I will, said Molly. Then Joe said, Pickles just gave my address, that's why. I will let you know when the money goes in, Molly. I know you will. I know you will. Thank you, Joe. Joe rings Molly again and asks her to go around there on Monday, and Molly says, "Thank you, Joe, for thinking about me." So Molly turns up on Monday, and they're both waiting and very nervous for the sleigh to come out. There's a knock on the door, and it's a lady about the money. Joe asks if she would like a cup of tea. "Yes, please, and I haven't introduced myself. I had a busy morning." Molly and the lady are both chatting together. Patch knows something is going on, and he is barking at Joe, so he gets him a big bone to chew on. It's all very tense. "Is this the lovely lady your wife, Joe?" No, just a friend." "Is this the one that's sharing the windfall of Miss Molly Skiddles?" "Yes, that's right. That's me, Molly says a bit happier. "Well, I can tell you, lovely people, you have won 100,000, and Joe drops his tea all over his knees. Molly is filling hers in her lap, and the lady says, "Can I get you both a cloth?" They both say yes together. Patch looks up in a deep gaze. "When she comes back now, I can arrange for this money to be put in a good bank for both of you. Is that okay?" They both say yes. Still in shock, "And I will also go and make you both a strong cup of coffee if you would like me to." "Yes, please," they both say, and that's fine, only Molly does not like really strong coffee. So everything gets sorted out for them, and they both really are in a trance. There's a bit of signing to be done, and they just drink up their coffee while they get everything ready. They take control over themselves finally, and everything gets sorted out, and the lady, who actually is called Rose, "Well, I'm off now, and by the way, my name is Rose. So if you have any problems at all, just ask for me. I'm sure I mentioned my name to you both. Have you both got it now? I know it's a lot to take in. I will say good day to you both, and it has been a pleasure to meet you both very much." They looked at each other wide-mouthed, and they both got up and threw their arms around each other and shouted, "Wow, we are rich! We shall have, what will we do now?" Molly said, "A bottle of champagne. I think will go down very nicely." "Yes, it certainly will," said Joe. Molly went out and got a bottle, and they drank a whole bottle. Molly says, slurring a bit, "Joe, can I ask you a very personal question?" Slurring his words a bit, he says, "Sure, but I'm not sure I can answer them." "Well, you see, I've been wondering if I knew you as a child, maybe in the same school. Only there was a boy in my school that I used to know called Joe." Joe said, "Well, after drinking that lot, I can't even remember my name, never alone my school days." "I'll get a cab," Molly quickly changes the subject. "Yes, that makes sense. I'll phone up one for you," says Joe. "I'll phone you, Joe, in the week." "Okay. Mind how you go, Molly." After sleeping the wine off, Molly gets up from bed, and it was the afternoon. Thinking she had a dream about winning the lottery, she had a strong coffee and took 2 painkillers for her headache. Sat down with her second coffee and realized she had won the lottery. And then she thought, "I wonder if the money has gone in." So she got herself ready and went to her new bank, and she asked if her money had gone in. They checked it out, and there it was, 100,000. She nearly fell through the floor. And in the 60s, that was a lot of money. She rang Joe to see if he got his money yet. He said he had not been to his bank yet. "I've got 100,000, so you should have the same as me," says Molly. "I can't get to the bank at the moment. Patch is not well. I think he has got something wrong with his tummy. He's not eating, and I'm very worried about him." "Take him down to the vet," says Molly. "I'll see what he's like in the morning. If he's no better, I will take him down. I hope his Patch is better soon by then. Take care." It's an exciting time for Molly. Now she phones up a few friends to tell them that she has won the lottery. But she only lets her closest friends know. She invites them round for a meal. She goes out shopping, and she treats them to a special meal. She told them 7 o'clock, and when she returns, she gets everything ready for the evening. She is terribly busy. 7 o'clock comes, and everything is ready, and one arrives. She's brought a few bottles of champagne and waits until they all arrive. They're all together. So she pops open the champagne, they drink a toast to her, and then they all talk about what she's going to do with the money. But first she tells them all about the story about the lottery ticket and what happened with her ticket, and they all laughed. It sounds so funny the way she told the story. but they said you would have more money if that ticket didn't blow away. Molly laughed, said that she'd made friends with Joe now. Well, come on, what are you going to do with all that money? Well, now I have got some money. I'm going to go to America for a month. I've got my pension, and I'm getting a rise soon, my teaching pension. Oh, that's wonderful. Think of us working while you're away. Ha ha. And they all laughed again. They drank more champagne and had a lovely meal. They were getting quite tiddly, so the evening went off with a bang, and they all said their good nights, and Molly went straight to bed. Next morning, she had a bit of a thick head, but it was worth it. It was a good night. After a stiff coffee or two, she thought of ringing Joe to see how Patch was. So she got herself ready first because she really wanted to go around to see him. Anyway, she rang him first. Hi, it's me, Joe, said Molly. And who is me, said Joe. Molly, who else, Joe remarks. Well, I do know other people. Oh, stop it, Joe. I rang to see how Patch is. Oh, he's fine now, eating too much, that's all. He's running around like a youngster now. Molly says he's doing well at his age. So what are you up to today, asked Joe. I was going to come round, but if he's well then, oh no, I won't bother. You can come around for a cup if you want. Yes, I may do that and take you to your bank to see if you have gotten your money. Oh, no need. I went yesterday and I have 100,000. Wow, that's good. Joe, thanks to me. Now, do not be like that, Molly. And she laughed. I'll be around in half an hour. When she goes round there's a lady there. Hello, Molly says to the lady. Pleased to meet you. I'm from the community and that Joe is staying when he's not well. We look in on him for every few weeks to see if he is looking after himself. He certainly looks well, and he's told me all about you. Then Joe says, yes, I'm incredibly lucky, too. She's a good friend of mine. He's not usually this nice to me. And Joe laughed. Well, I have come around to see Joe as we have some news for you. Have you remembered anything at all else? It's all a blur. We found out your shop was sold and you have bills that came out of the money, but you also have some money to come out of the sale. And couldn't find you, so you are quite wealthy now, Joe. Molly says very quickly, wow, you can give me back the lottery money, Joe. Molly, laughing, says to Joe, I'm only joking. Thank you for letting me know. I'd like to donate some money of that to your homeless charity, if I may. Oh, that's very kind of you, Joe. You accept that with gratitude. But you know you're still in need of assistance. You're not quite well out of the woods yet. I know I am. I'm not getting flashbacks about my past. I'll get in touch, and also you can join a club where people meet up of your age. We have a cup of tea and cake and a little chat about everything, so come along and we'll be more than happy to see you every week, so don't forget, Joe. After the young lady went, Molly took Joe and Patch out for a run in the car. They found a big park for Patch to run around, and Molly told Joe about her going to America for a month. You're going in your caravanette? Yes. Do you know anyone out there, Joe? I have a cousin out there in New York. Well, that'd be great. If that's what you want to do. I've never been to America, so now I have the money. I'm going to do what I said I would do when I retired. Patch was running around like a puppy. They had to stop him and give him some water. He seemed to be out of breath. They decided to drive on slowly and look for a coffee shop to have and drink a coffee outside, as it was a glorious day. But as they were driving along, Joe sees a beautiful cottage and asks Molly to stop. They take a look at it. It's for sale, so they look inside the window and it looks beautiful inside too. I like this, Molly, said Joe. Can you afford it, Molly asked. We'll find out, shall we? So they ring the estate agents and they manage to arrange a viewing. In an hour, they went for a coffee just up from the cottage and near the stream. So that's the end of Chapter 4. Chapter 5, New Home, is the next one. So I think that kind of is a hint that Joe gets that house. And we'll see what we're going to read next from that book. Again, I appreciate you visiting. So if you have any books that you'd like me to read that you have written, I'd be more than happy to do so. I love doing this and hope you enjoy the readings too. So I hope to be here with me next time. I'm going to check and see if I've done one of their trips to Atlantis. I think I did one earlier, but they, Honey and the Guild all go down and have to fight to protect Atlantis from some invaders. And that was kind of a fun one to write. So I'll see if I haven't already done that. If I haven't, that's going to be the next one I read from my books. So again, Joe's Journey, Legend Creation, and all of my books, the Time Is series, my book is of shorts, are all available on Amazon. My books are now, I apologize. My books are available on Amazon, Amazon Kindle, Smashwords, and Barnes & Noble. So you know where to get them if you want them, and I hope you enjoy these. Please leave some comments in the thing so I know I'm just not talking to myself here. All right. Thank you again. I appreciate you visiting. Hope to see you again next time. So have a good one. Bye.